Welcome to Brunese and Marissa's True Crime Podcast. Today, we will be doing a story that is very local. I'm talking about local to us because it's in our hometown. In Bayou La Batre, actually.
For those who you don't know about Bayou La Batre, it's where that movie Forrest Gump.
Where Bubba Gump lives.
Yeah, where Bubba Gump lives. It's down here somewhere.
Like, it's right there on the coast. Bubba Gump lived there,
Yeah.
But so, this case is a very disturbing case because of the nature of how it happened. And after, when I'm done, if you quit, you're probably going to do like I did. I question myself, like, why would you even do that? Like, how can you do this, right? That's how disturbing this is. In 2008, 4 children were thrown off the Dolphin Island Bridge. Okay, so anybody that ain't from here, that don't know nothing about it, Dolphin Island Bridge is a 100-foot bridge. The very, very top is 100 foot down. And it was built after Hurricane Frederick in the 1970s. Lam Long was a Vietnamese immigrant. And his wife they lived in the bayou. And his wife, I believe, did nails at the time. I know she worked. And I felt so bad for her after this whole ordeal, because I remember people looking for these babies. On January the 7th, 2018 at 10 a.m., he asked his wife if he can get gas money to fill up the van, but she gave him $31 to fill the van up with gas, right? When he left, she tried to contact him multiple times, unsuccessfully. Like, he would not answer his phone. I guess she waited all day and then didn't hear nothing from him, and then started getting worried and started calling him, didn't hear from him, and finally he picked the phone up. At 7, she was able to get a hold of him, and Lamb told her that the children were with somebody else, with a woman named Kim. The mother did not know nothing at this point. I mean, you can imagine being a mother. You don't know if your kids are with this woman named Kim. You don't know who she is. You don't know what happened to your children. I mean, things like that. My heart breaks for this woman. Later, the mother and Lamb, which kills me that he did this because of his crime, but they reported to Bayou La Batre Police Department that the children were missing. You have to think about Bayou La Batre is a little town. They are going to, when children are missing, they take that seriously. The police, on January the 8th, the day after they went missing, is when they went to the police station and were questioned by the Bayou La Batre Police Department, right? They were questioned separately, right? And the reason why they do that for is so therefore if one says one and one says the other, then they know who's lying. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they separate them.
Wait, was Kim his lover or was his friend?
I really believe that Kim was his lover, because from what was told, the reason why he did it was because Kim was waiting for him in Mississippi, and he didn't want to pay child support. That's the story that was told.
Yeah, he could have just gave his
He could have gave her all rights.
Yeah.
One of them didn't want even. One of these kids was not his kids. I am going to tell y'all the ages of these kids, because I do want to, do a moment of silence for them, because they did not deserve what no kid deserves anything of what anybody does to them, especially cruel like that. Kids deserve to be spoiled
and happy and stuff.
And have a happy childhood, and remember this when they get older, so their children can they can go and tell their children, right? Before I do the children, I'm gonna finish what he said to the mom. So when they went to speak to the cops, right? They were questioned separately. And during this time, the mother had asked if she can speak with Lamb, right? And at this point is when he told her that the children were dead because he threw them off the bridge.
I could probably I can imagine what the
I
look on her
mean-
face is.
If I'm not, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, she was put on a suicide watch. The preacher that really helped her out, I don't remember, I don't know his name, I can't remember his name, but he's a preacher in Bayou La Batre. He was beside her side the whole time. You know, they watched her because, you know, you lose your 4 children, like you just found your 4 children just got thrown off a 100-foot bridge. You know, you're never going to see them again. You know, you don't even know if they're going to find their bodies. She was put on a suicide watch because of the nature and because of she really loved her children. You know, like she did not, in a million years, I'm pretty sure, like any other mother would not expect that the person that they trusted the most with their children would kill their children.
Yeah, I wonder what she's doing now and stuff.
I tried to do research on. I tried to find out, but I think she doesn't really want to be known.
Yeah.
I do know that it hurt her so bad that I mean, I did hear she did have more children.
Oh, that's good at least.
I do hope that that is true. I can't confirm this or not, y'all. Don't take this as
If she does have children,
if she did have children, I'm glad.
I hope she
But I am sorry
protects
for her
them
loss.
too. I hope she protects them too.
Now, the children. When I tell y'all the ages of these children is what's really going to anger y'all. Because it angered the whole community. I mean, everybody that lived out here was angered. He threw Hannah Long, which was 2 years old. Ryan Fan, he was 3. Lindsay Long, she was 1. And Danny Long was 14 months old. Off a 100-foot bridge to their deaths. These were babies. None of these even went to school yet. They didn't even get to experience anything in life. The last one we did was, you know, about Natalie and Chase, and you know they died when they were young, but they at least but they lived to be, 4. What was it? 5 and 7. But these babies were 1, 2, 3, and 14 months old. It took days to find these children. And you have to remember, okay, so remember this, that they went missing on the 7th of January. Now, January the 12th is when Danny, the first child, Danny, was found in a marshy area 12 miles from the bridge. You have to think about it. Out here, they had search parties, they had volunteers, people from here to Louisiana looking for these children, because when he threw them off, they had to think about which way did the current go, stuff like that. Sharks, fish, gator, all that's in the water. That's going to get them anyway. And they were found not far off from when they were disappeared, but far enough to where fish were, they were being tortured in the water, so to speak. So Lindsay's body, which, by the way, in case anybody forgets, Danny was 14 months old. He was the first one found. Lindsay was the second one found. She was only 1 year old. And she was found on January 15th, 3 days after Danny was found, in Mississippi, 18 miles from the bridge. If you think about it, when I tell y'all where they're found, if you notice, these are all found near a bridge or near the bridge, except for 1 or 2.
Wait, did they get dropped off? Did they get dropped off at the same spot, or did he drop them off at a different spot?
He threw them all off the top of the bridge.
I mean,
one at a time, like from what I remember, the oldest boy was the last one to go, and he had to watch because the oldest boy wasn't his, if I'm not mistaken, was not his child.
Well,
It was his stepchild. He made him watch him throw the other children off.
That's messed up, man.
Before he picked him up and threw him off. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't his child, he still should have loved him and stuff like his own.
I agree. Yes, I agree. I really do agree, because that's the thing with blended families. There are people that are not lucky enough to be in a blended family where it's stable enough for that, and even though they want love from that man's never going to love their children. And women don't need to be with men that don't want their children. Women need to be with men that want their children, that will treat them like their own, like you said.
Yeah.
With the other two children, Hannah's body was found January 20th. But she was found 144 miles
Dang.
away from the bridge in Louisiana. Like, she's the only one that floated to Louisiana. Ryan's body was found on January 13th. His body was found before Hannah's. And so he was found 16 miles from the bridge. So Hannah's body was found last, and she was the one who floated the longest, all the way to Louisiana, 144 miles down the line. You know what I'm saying?
I wonder how. Maybe like an animal or something?
It was a current.
Oh.
It's the way our currents run. What it was is because with the ages of the children, Hannah was 2 years old. Ryan was 3. So Hannah's body was pretty much floating further away and had hit. I guess she might have gotten the current worse than they did. I'm not sure. Ryan's body was found on January 13th, 16 miles away from the bridge. I mean, you can imagine, like, all these people that are finding these babies' bodies and how much therapy they need now because of these bodies, you know? I mean, I can only imagine. Me personally, I wanted to go search for them. But I knew that if I found a body, it would have caused me to have some kind of... They would have had to lock me up in a mental hospital, I'll put it to you that way, because my brain can't comprehend that. It would have done something to me. Like I said, I'm not really good in emergency situations either. So, but when it comes to a child, I'm very deep about that, and I probably would have sat there and screamed and cried. I'm not like... hey, I found one, no. I probably would have passed out and fainted if I would have went and looked and found one. And it's only because, to me, it's kind of hard to comprehend that a person would do that.
Yeah, you're supposed to protect and love your child, not throw them.
I mean, like, I don't want to bring wounds up in case their mother listens to this podcast. You have to think about them hitting that water from 100 feet up in the air. When they hit that water, we don't know what happened to their bodies. We don't know if they exploded. We don't know anything. At that point, they never describe what their bodies look like or what they think their bodies look like after it got thrown off.
Maybe it was too graphic, maybe.
Now, here's the thing about this whole situation. On April 2009, because I remember when the trial happened, Lamb was convicted on 5 counts of capital murder and was sentenced to death. I was like, okay, well, he's gonna get death row, which don't really mean much, but he's gonna get death row. He'll be dead in about 25 years, right? Death row is not fast at all. But instead of that, in 2013, his lawyer got a whole new thing up for him in the Alabama Supreme Court. And then they overruled the appeal and upheld Lamb's conviction. January the 18th, 10 years after the killing happened, right? Lamb's attorney filed a motion citing a significant adaptive functioning deficit, which meant his defense claim was he was ineligible for execution due to his intellectual disability, like up here. They're saying like he wasn't all there, or he wasn't from this country, so he didn't know better, right? Then they try to do another trial and say, well, he doesn't need it in Alabama. He needs it where he's from. Well, where he's from, he was going to get away with it. So they said, no, we're not paying for it no more. We're done paying for this. It's not coming just it's coming out of taxpayers' money. Everybody's tired of that. Due to his intellectual ability, experts And the prosecution defense, after they found out, he had that, his sentence was reduced from death penalty to life in prison without parole, which means that this man got away with throwing 4 children off the bridge, right? Killing all 4 children. Had no remorse for what he did. He smiled about it.
Oh, that's creepy.
But got off the death row because they said that something's wrong with his brain. So if that's the case, then I guess they need to let all killers use that one. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because that's ridiculous. Just because he wasn't from here don't mean nothing.
Yeah, he's still dangerous and stuff.
That's it, yes. So instead of him being on death row, now for the rest of his life, taxpayers have to pay for it. Have to take care of him. Taxpayers have anything in jail, taxpayers pay for it.
Wait, is he still alive or is he dead now?
He's alive.
Oh, dang.
Yes, he's alive. From what I was told, they taped up the children's pictures across from his cell, I think, and they make him look at the pictures every day of his life. But to me, I'm sorry, but if he didn't feel bad about doing it, to me, that's not torture to him. Also, the judge at the sentencing reduction, right, the one that had to do the reduction sentencing, said he had no doubt in his mind that even though Lamb had an intellectual disability, that he knew exactly what he was doing when he did it. But because of where he was from and because of the news publicity that was going on while this was going on, while they were searching for the children, him being in Mobile, they claimed that, he wouldn't have a fair trial, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? To me, it don't matter where you're at, you'll have a fair trial because you did the murder. As soon as you did the murders, we already had our choice. You know what I'm saying? You're guilty. You should have been thrown off the bridge like them kids, Like, to me, I think the way that death row should go is the way that you kill the people is the way that I think that they should do you. Because it's not right, because them people didn't give them people a fair chance to live.
Yeah, they didn't deserve that.
Yeah. They killed them, but yet the people on death row get to be in there for 25 years or longer.
Yeah.
They get to live half their life out before they even die, and some of them even die waiting. And it's not fair because it's like, I think that death row needs to change on that. I think they need to kill people the way that they killed the person that they're being charged with. I don't know how many of y'all would agree with us on that. Would agree with me on that. But whoever does, I would like to know who agrees with me on that. That the death sentence needs to be not drawn out because too many prisons are being built because they're not doing anything. But they need to do them the way that they did the person that they killed. A tit for tat, right? The judge also told him, and so I'm almost done with this. And then me and Marissa start talking about it because I know she's got a lot of questions. The judge also said that he richly deserves to die for what he did. He had to uphold the law. Now, the mother of the children said that the father kept laughing about him throwing the children off the bridge.
That's scary.
But yet he's sitting life in prison without parole. This poor woman lost her 4 babies that she gave birth to. I know some people don't really realize that don't have children, how it is to lose a child. It's worse than any feeling in the world. You can lose your parents. That is the worst feeling in the world. But when you lose something that was part of your body that you carried for 9 months or how many months you carried, they're part of you. They're part of your blood. You fed them. You kept them alive in your belly. You're the one who did it. To have a man come and kill them children. That's crazy. This whole story. Bayou La Batre Police Department, I can say, did a great job. They are very smart. They know how to get answers out of people. I know that for a fact. I've seen them in action before. And so I commend the ones back in because the ones now are not the same ones back then. But the ones that were cops back then in Bayou La Batre, I do commend them for that. They did a great job with it all. The volunteers, everybody that volunteered to look for these babies, they need to be thanked. And I thank every one of y'all for finding these babies and giving these babies peace and letting them rest in peace. I have, however, went by their grave before. I do know where their grave is. I have went by it in the bayou. And I did give my respects to them because, you know, I like to walk around and I happened to stumble across their grave and I saw them and I'm like, oh my God, there they are, you know? And I did show respect. I do show respect for anybody's grave. Is there anything that you want to chime in about?
Yeah, I wonder what that Kim person's doing now. Like, what's she doing?
I'm not sure what she's doing. I know that when he got put in jail, she just disappeared. It's almost like the whole story disappeared. Once the trial was over with, poof, it was done. And that's one thing, that's why we do the crime podcast stories for, is because a lot of these stories disappear. And I don't want them to. Because a lot of these people need to be heard. They don't have voices anymore. And they need to be heard. I do think that it wasn't right that they took him off death row. I do think he should have stayed there, but like I said, and you agree with me about the death row thing?
Yeah.
I think they need to do people the way that they did the people that they killed. Instead of waiting 25, 35, 45 years before they do something. Come on. What you using the room for? It's not a motel. I mean, come on. Let's get these people out of the way. He was a very evil, evil person. And I know that, lately, our past 3 podcasts have been nothing about men, right? I thought about, on our next podcast, we should do something about a woman.
Yeah.
Because women do it too. It's not just men, people, it's women too. The thing is what's scary about everything is that you can be walking in a store and a serial killer can pass by you and you would never know.
Yeah, because they act so normal and stuff too.
You never know who you're standing beside, who you're walking beside, who's walking near your house. It's that scary. There are so many cold cases out here in just where I live at that are not being mentioned. Because they're from the 1990s, 1980s, and so they want to just forget about it. That's where me and Marissa come in at. We love our crime stories, and we love watching crime documentaries, and I noticed that nobody ever did a documentary on these 4 children. Our local news did, and I believe a couple other people did, but no podcast has ever done any story on these 4 children. Or the story in general. And I would say the mother's name, but I'm not going to do this out of respect in her privacy because of the fact that she might still be living in Bayou La Batre. And I don't want people to bother her about her children that have passed away. I'm doing this out of respect for her, so when I say their mother and not her name, it's out of respect for her because like I said, I don't want anybody to do research trying to find out where she lives, try to ask her about her children that passed away because she really doesn't need that. Because honestly, if somebody did that to me, I'd be pretty mad. And so I did this out of respect, and my heart does break for this woman. I mean, my heart breaks for anybody that loses a child. Or anybody grandkids, children, anybody. My heart breaks for them. But when you lose it in a murder, and it's a man that you loved and you trusted with your children, and you even had children by him. And he just threw him off a 100-foot bridge and laughed about it. Who laughs about something like that? Somebody who I don't think he didn't have the intellectual intelligence. I think because where he's from, they're allowed to do things like that. They're allowed to kill and get away. They don't have the resources like we do here. I'm pretty sure if you get killed over there, if you go missing, you're going to go missing forever. That's like Tillman's Corner. You go missing, they ain't never finding your body. They do have police departments there. Also, I do want to remind people, when we do these podcasts, we really do our homework and we really put days of work into finding out the truth and writing them down. This is my niece, and she's about to graduate this year. She's graduating in a couple of months. I really like, and I'm so glad she's doing this with me because this could be her career starter. You know, later on, me and her, it's gonna get bigger. And the bigger we get, the more that we can go into depth, more and more serial killers that are not local, and that's why we're gonna change it out each week. You'll hear a local story, then you will hear a serial killer story. Then it'll be this every, we'll change them out every week. I'm not just gonna do local. We're not gonna do just local stories for y'all. We want to do both because we don't know, anybody up north listening to what, to us. I want them to be able to listen to what goes on down here, but also they know what we were talking about when we talk about the serial killers. And if you notice, though, most of the serial killers are in California. I mean, what is up with that? California or New York? Well, not really New York. I haven't really heard. Well, New York, yes, if I'm not mistaken. There was some in New York.
Maybe Hollywood, too?
There was a lot in California. A lot in California. And this is like dating back in the 60s, 50s, 40s and stuff. It's gotten so bad there now where when I get up on my Facebook, because I am on like groups that do like missing persons or they found a body and they need to identify them, so they want people to share them. And I am in them group. These people are from California. I'm from Alabama. All I can really do is share, I don't know if anybody gonna see it or not. Normally people don't pay attention for my part because we're from down here, and now, we're from the South. We know our own local news. We know what goes on. But when it comes to nationwide killings, like serial killers and stuff like that, is where everybody, including northern people, know.
I wonder if they had like a bad childhood to make them do that and stuff, or they're just crazy or something.
I'm pretty sure some of them were born crazy, but some of them, they always try to stem it from their childhood. The thing is that most people have had a bad childhood and did not do that. I mean, I understand that, yeah, some serial killers, it did stem from their childhood. There will be a story that I will be telling when I get more information. I don't want to go into this halfway, so this person, it might be like maybe a few more episodes later because I have to really go into depth with this one. And even though it wouldn't be hard for other people, I want to get all the truth, the whole story, the whole kit caboodle. You know what I'm saying? I want to get it all. I would like to do a moment of silence for the 4 children and all the children that have been killed and murdered or died, but especially for the children today that I read the podcast on. So if we can have like a moment of silence. The reason why I do this for it, and I would do this with every child, is because they need a moment. It's because they need to be respected. They needed, they suffered a tragic life, a tragic thing. They are in heaven now. I know that they're in heaven, that they're not in pain no more, but their mama is. And people don't understand when they do things like that. They don't just affect. I mean, of course, the children are not here anymore, but it affects the mother. It affects the family. It affects the whole community. Everybody that knew them, it affects them all. We're gonna wrap it up for this week. Next week we'll be doing for our next one we'll be doing no serial killer because we did a local. Eventually, when we start doing more and more, I want y'all to start chiming in and letting me and Marissa know who y'all want us to tell a story on next, or who y'all want us to do next, or not next, but as we get up there. I want to thank y'all for listening to Brunese and Marissa's True Crime Podcast. I hope y'all keep coming back to listen because we will have more and more interesting stories. I promise y'all, Marissa will grow out of her shyness. I promise. She's got. She will speak more. Some of these stories, she really is kind of like she just really didn't know about. Hey, I'm gonna wrap this up, and we will see y'all back here next week with a serial killer that we will figure out who it will be. But it will be interesting, and I will make sure I'll put it all in there. Bye.
Bye.